What's up? Mike D here from According to Hip Hop. We got Dyalekt in the building from HipHop
Peace.
FinFest. What's going on with you, Dyalekt? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. In with the O2, out with the CO2. How about you?
I'm doing all right, man. It's good to finally catch up with you. Been talking about this for the past couple of weeks. You guys have
hmm
some great things going on. Here at According to Hip Hop, we make it really imperative to talk about hip hop and the lyrics and how educational it is. And you guys fit right in line with that, man. Introduce yourself to the people. Let them know about you and what you got going on at Hip Hop Film Fest.
Yes, most definitely. My name is Dialect. I am an MC and hip hop educator. As of this month, I've been doing it for 20 years. Over the past 6 or 7 years, I've been working with Pockets Change. I'm the director of pedagogy over there. And we use hip hop pedagogy to teach kids about personal finance. My background is in using hip hop or hip hopping with young folks to get them to learn how they learn so that we can learn everything. I've helped in literacy, I've done curriculum developments, teacher trainings, and it was always important to parents, to teachers, they're like, yeah, this art stuff is cool. Yeah, you help them pass the test. Yeah, you help them figure out how they study best and all these things. But how are they going to make money? How are they going to be able to take care of themselves? And then everybody always has these stories about hip hop artists and how we're exploited and taken advantage of. And, usually when they're saying hip hop, it's just a euphemism for black, but, they put it on the way that they understand. And I started working with Pockets Change when they were looking to they started out as a program where they had curricula for teachers. It's this amazing 400-page document. They brought it to all the schools and they were like, this is great. I don't know how to do this either. Because all of these things that have been kept and not taught to kids are not taught to us as well. We're all kind of kept in the dark about it. So they were looking for some teachers to come and share it in a way that really worked with folks. We use hip hop pedagogy because it meets students where they're at. It's not necessarily rapping or b-boying with these kids. It's more the point behind why the elements of hip hop needed to start.
Mm.
We have a desire for community, but we have a lack of resources. We have a situation where our students are marginalized in several different ways. The anti-blackness that permeates the entirety of our school system. Not only that, but the ways that they take our creativity and have remolded it in a way that puts us either in a cubicle or a jail cell. We want to be able to break students out of those kind of bonds and give them opportunities to have autonomy. One of the other reasons that folks don't talk about money and don't deal with money is that it's put together in a way that sounds both scary and boring. And we don't want that to be the case. So we put together our lessons in a way where the things that are important to students are important to us. It's student centered. When you think of a cipher is not a top down, I'm the teacher, I run stuff and you got to learn. A cipher is a circle where one
Mm.
person inspires the next to inspire the next. The hierarchy is situational based on who has the need and who has the knowledge. And that's how we share those things. So we bring those principles into the classroom and rock with students. I've been doing this for many years now. And just to be real, you know how folks are about this hip hop stuff. I already talked about, the anti-blackness, but also this idea, oh, we're going to teach them about being gangsters and all this kind of stuff. And to sidestep all those kinds of questions, we kept the performance part pretty minimal. It's all about the vibes. It's all about the work that we're doing with the students in the class. So we didn't do much in terms of like making them write a song or having them do a dance. And what we realized is we're doing them a disservice because our big tagline at Pocket Exchange is to change the way we talk about money
Mhm.
because we're not talking about money and the ways that we do aren't beneficial for us. The common sense of this world often leaves us bereft of our ability to take advantage of financial systems. Most people I know, they assume it's common sense that if you check your own credit score, your score is going to go down. That's not true. We know that's not true, but a lot of
Right.
folks don't. And it's not your fault. You're not stupid for not knowing that. It's not that it's something that has been curated over years to the point where you don't even question it. And that's helped out by art. Art is the reason why everybody does everything. The Wall Street bros who wear those ties and the slick back hair, that didn't even start until the movie Wall Street came out. We take these cues from these arts. So I want to give students the opportunity to change what the common sense is by talking about what's real in their communities and what's real in their lives. And we can do that through art. The easiest way I know how to do that as an MC is through rhyming. So we put together a contest called the Hip Hop Fin Fest. If you go to hiphopfinfest.com, there's about a week and change left in the contest to do it. We have 5 online lessons that are easily accessible. There are videos, there's writing prompts where you can learn some basics about personal finance. We have a couple of online lessons by some hip hop legends about how to write and record a song. And then we got beats, most of them made by other students that you can download, put together your own song based on this, and send it to us. We have a contest that, like I said, the submissions are due soon. And then we're going to be putting on a virtual concert where we have some hip hop legends as judges, some amazing people, Heroin from the Juggernauts. We got really awesome folks, Sway from absolutely everything. He was our judge last year, and he's come back again this year. We're really happy to have him. A number of really awesome people are involved in what we're doing. They're going to be checking out the songs that these kids do, deciding on winners, and we've got great prizes. Sony gave us a bunch of equipment that we're going to be putting into what we call a pocket studio. It's basically going to be a carrying case full of a mic, receiver, camera, all the things that you need to be able to continue your creative journey. The grand prize winner is going to receive also $1,000 in cash and an opportunity to perform at Disney World. I keep forgetting if it's Land or World. I think it's World, the one in Florida.
Yeah, it's World.
Yeah. And other educational opportunities. We put them in mentorship programs. We have peer mentors and other mentors in the industry, and we're looking to create lifelong relationships with these students. The finalists are going to have their songs released. You can have them digitally and hear the stuff that they're doing. And we're really just trying to allow these students to start sharing what matters to them so we can make it matter to everybody who makes decisions.
Okay, so all right, let me I guess gather.
I know I just said a whole bunch of stuff.
No, you did, and it's good stuff. A lot of great stuff. A lot of stuff I want to unpack. So for the people who want to get involved, it's what, 12 to 18? Is that the range?
Yes, 12 to 18. This is junior high and high school age.
Okay, so they go to the website to actually upload their song. Is it a whole song, or are we looking for 16 bars and a hook, or how does that go?
That's a great question. Yeah, so the minimum we're asking is 16 bars and a hook, and the maximum that we're allowing is 4 minutes. One of the things about it, and this is, kind of logistical for us, we're asking for solo songs. If what you're sending has more than one artist on it, it's going to be, we need to know who the primary artist, and then the other one can be it's featuring, because the way that the prizes have been structured, it's easier for us. We're still in our second year to be able to disseminate them in that way. We're looking to get group competition prizes and things like that in future ones, but we're still getting our stuff built.
Okay, and the song and the bars have to be about economics.
Yes, so we have lessons that you can choose from one of the lessons to talk about what's going on, and we have themes every year. Last year's theme was Save Your Assets, so it was something about saving money and what you're saving money for. This year's theme is Wants Are Needs Too.
Okay.
We're always told that you should save money for your needs, right? Spend on your needs, don't spend on your wants. But that's not real. Not only is that hard to do, it's not healthy to do. When you only spend spartanly on the things you need, you're not able to alleviate a lot of the stresses that you have in life. You're not able to build the life that you want. And not only is that stressful and it sucks, you're just not going to stick to it. You'll never stick to a budget that you don't believe in. So we encourage students, we encourage everybody, we encourage folks to figure out something that matters to you, something that's worth spending energy, time, and money on, because those are the things you will save money for. Those are the things you will work hard to get raises for. Those things that matter to you will allow you to be the responsible person that you already are.
Definitely. You know what? We're going to have a link to the website under this video right here. So you can click that and get your, junior high, high school student that can rhyme involved in this spectacular, amazing effort. Now, how do you deal with ghostwriters, or is that even a concern?
Oh, wow. That's real. We haven't talked about that. Hey, this is how I feel about it. Folks out there right now, if you're like, I want to put together this thing, I want to win this contest, and I'm not going to write it myself, I'm going to hire a ghostwriter. I don't have any way to prove that. And I actually don't have personal, qualms about doing things as a group. But what that means is, well, you better be paying your ghostwriter.
Right.
We don't have a mechanism to make sure the ghostwriter gets paid, but please give them a cut of what you're doing. when I first moved to New York City and started getting involved in hip hop, I had a manager who was down with all the true school heads. And the first gig I did was I was in a music video with Grandmaster Caz. I was just in the background holding up a protest sign where he dissed the Sugar Hill Gang for stealing his lyrics more than 20 years prior. So,
Right.
I get you on the biters thing. I think there's no problem with the ghostwriter as long as folks are working in concert, in tandem,
Right.
as a team, as a unit. I want to say to my educators out there who want to use hip hop in their classrooms, and they're like, well, how do I do this all? We just got like one kid who's going to make a song. They're the star, and what are other kids doing? It takes a lot. It takes a whole community to be able to create something. There can be students doing the research, students writing lyrics, students being the performer, students filming and editing the video that you're doing. There are a lot of aspects. That's why, we have all of the elements of hip hop. So all of the different skill sets, all of the different desires of people can be involved, and together we make something great. So even though there is an individual prize, this is still about your team, your class, your community, your peoples.
That's what I love about hip hop now too. I mean, it was like that early on where you had a whole crew, like a Public Enemy, where everybody was a collective and had their own roles. And when I was coming up and rhyming in the early 2000s, it was like the big time videographers who got all the work. But now with everybody having access to technology, you can have a young crew of, like you said, someone who's the videographer, someone who's the performer, someone who's the editor. You know what I mean? And everybody can actually do something, and it's not an entourage of people just kind of mooching off of the one talent. Everybody has talents that they can display.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not an entourage.
Right. I was going to ask you, though, what brought you to this point to come up with such a great idea and want to implement it in this way?
Yeah. So, I was talking a little bit earlier about how, we decided we wanted to help students have a voice so we can change the common sense. But, in general, this was something that we talked about before the pandemic with me and my team, and maybe this had something to do with how this started to get built. We have been talking about how disconnected a lot of folks who want to make change in the world are. And we had this goal where we want to get the artists, the activists, the educators, the policymakers, and the people with the money in every local community to know who they are. And that starts with the artists. The artists are the ones, what's that quote about the goal of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible? These are the ones who galvanize. These are the ones who are the philosophers. These are the ones who make it possible. As you say about the entourage, MCs are meant to do the opposite of have an entourage. We're meant to control the crowd, to create the community, to build with folks, to let people know. Even in the old school days, it was, hey, I'm on the mic right now. I just want to let you know that your car is double parked and you better move it before the cops come get it. We're here to let folks know what they need to know so they can move through together. So this is our opportunity to, like you said, bring that stuff back. I love how once we've settled into this digital landscape, all the same needs are kind of arising, where we have a lot of confusion. When people talk about misinformation and how do we get ourselves around that, it's by creating consensus. And that's something that cats like us, that MCs need to do. Even in your role as a podcaster, still MCing with the people, bringing the news that otherwise wouldn't be in the area. As we start regaining these avenues, we need to make sure that we take advantage of it, not the vultures, like you said, like in the early 2000s. I remember watching when MC, DJ, breakdancer, and the label would say, hey, why are you paying the dancer? They're not on the song. Hey, why are you paying that beatboxer? He only does like one little thing at the show every now and then. They're not worth it. Why are you even paying the DJ? Next thing you know, it's all solo artists and people aren't working together.
Yep.
And you know what happens when you divide, you get conquered. And this is a great opportunity for us to bring unity back. So the song contest itself is born of our desire to create more unity and to just tell the realities that are out there. Our biggest competition as a company isn't another financial education company, another hip hop artist, anything like that. It's the random stuff you see on Instagram where people will post about, well, like, you see, this is why you folks are poor, because you don't blah, 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 blah. You're buying all the coffee and the sneakers, and if you stop buying your Jordans, this is our opportunity to tell them to can all that noise and to bring the real instead of allowing the narrative to be from the folks that want us to not have anything.
I see that. Yeah, I think that's a great initiative. And I want to get a little bit more into. I mean, I know you talked about the early 2000s, some of the
Hmm.
the times when you got into hip hop professionally. What are some of the moments that you can remember in hip hop where you could say, I mean, not to be cliche, when you fell in love with hip hop?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's really awesome and real. Cause I'm such an indie head. I love my indie hip hop and stuff like that. And I actually didn't really fall in love with hip hop until I heard indie artists. I heard stuff on the radio, and some of it was good, some of it wasn't. And I was like, okay, they're talking, beats, rapping. That's fun. It's interesting. And first time I heard Chino XL's "Creep,"
Mm.
something really struck me because I was like, wow, here's someone who wasn't bragging about himself in that song. I mean, Chino's also like one of the best at bragging about themselves, but like he wasn't like talking about, oh, I'm great at this. He was like being really vulnerable and talking about something that he was sad about and telling the story. And it led me to listen to other rappers who were real avant garde about what they did, which also led me to look at the other elements of hip hop and the things that folks were doing and how it's one thing to tell a story with your words, but it's another thing to tell a story with a competitive dance or by painting on a wall at midnight for something that people are going to see at 3 p.m. the next day. I really got into hip hop when we started doing the thing that is hip hop. I want to throw a little controversial thing in real quick.
Hmm.
Everybody has their whole, what's the difference between hip hop and rap? I have a really simple, fine line. Rap is something that you listen to on the radio at home by yourself. Hip hop is something you need to do with your peoples. There's nothing wrong with either one of them. I don't place a qualitative frame on it, but it wasn't hip hop. And I didn't know anything about hip hop until I stepped into a cipher with people.
Hmm.
There was a small hip hop community on St. Croix in the Virgin Islands where I grew up. When I was in high school, they would listen to the Wake Up Show. Wake Up Show came on Saturday nights, like 10 p.m. And it was really the only hip hop that we got. Some of the big rap songs might play on the radio a little bit, but, mostly reggae, soca, calypso, shout out to all of those great bands. We started out rhyming really fast because we would rhyme to the calypso beats. But we would listen to the Wake Up Show, and then outside this busted down fountain in the middle of the island, we would kick rhymes with each other.
Mm.
It was hard. I can tell you, I remember exactly what my first freestyle was. My first freestyle was, "Hey yo, uh, uh, right?" Because being able to figure out, like, my mind was like, I could say anything,
Right.
but I didn't need to say anything because the cipher passed me then, and someone else picked up off of what I failed to say. I think they were like, "Oh, he's stuttering confused, and I'm gonna bring you the news," and all that.
Hmm.
And I realized that what I was doing came through me, but wasn't about me. It was about us.
It was about the
Someone
energy, the
said something.
synergy, and the collective.
Yes,
Yeah.
you say something that inspires me to say something, and we create something that has value. After that, I went to college in New York City, and I'd already had a bit of the bug. I geeked out when I saw places like Linden Boulevard and all the spots that cats were talking about in their rhymes. And to talk about like the real for real of what made me the type of hip hopper I am is I realized I really love all of this. I would watch the documentaries. I went to Crotona Park and saw the True School Cats. I went to all the competitions, the battles, the Scribble Jam out in Ohio. And I wondered, why do I pay so much attention? Why am I doing all of this research and I don't do that in school?
Mm.
Why don't I care about my classrooms the way that I care about the history of Cool Hark and Disco King Mario? Reaching back for all those deep cuts, but I'm not opening my math or history book like that. What's going on? What's different? And I started looking at the ways that they teach. I had a couple of opportunities to be brought in as a guest to do some poetry and rap things with young people. And I even realized how much I loved the way that young people interacted with me. I've
Mm.
been rapping in the nightclubs, and I'm sure rapping for people in nightclubs is cool, but you're kind of working for alcohol.
Hmm.
And, a lot of times, your carefully crafted lyrics about uplifting folks and stories of your woe and everything. You got drunk people in the bar jumping up and down.
Yeah, it's not really
Nothing wrong with
received.
that.
Yeah. It's not
Plenty of
received in
room
the
for
way
that.
that you want it to be lyrically sometimes in that setting.
Hmm.
Listen, I come from Atlanta, Georgia, where it was strip club culture, and you're trying to get on stage with a bunch of strippers there, and dropping money and still trying to spit some lyrics. It's very difficult to have people understand what you're saying to the level that you're saying it.
Yeah, and it's like a setting thing, right? There's plenty of good stuff that is good for those kind of settings.
Right.
The stuff that I did, I realized when young folks came up to me at that event and were like, so in the third stanza of the second poem, you were talking about, and I was like, oh, word, me and this 8-year-old can get into this. And I realized how much I loved vibing with young people. I've always been a bit of an outcast in a lot of different ways, and I found that I could connect to other folks who felt this way. To give a bit of my background, the way that I put this together is I made myself a rap album and one person play about my experience. I grew up mixed race in a town where that was not okay. They, like the Klan, used to march twice a year past my house, and there was a lot of beef around that. So I put together an album that detailed my story and how my inability to connect in culture hurt my efficacy or my ability to feel like a person, and how through hip hop, I was able to find an identity and find community and find my peoples and take care of myself. I put together a curriculum where I went into schools and we wrote poetry, we wrote raps, we made videos, we leaned into the skills and the proclivities that young folks had. And we came up with all this beautiful work where they were able to define themselves rather than reacting to how others defined them. I was really proud to be able to take this program, this play, this rap album, this education opportunity back home to St. Croix. And I worked with, I think, 17 organizations, over 400 students, and we put together so much great work. And this is how I realized that what I'm doing can work. And what I mean by hip hop, because you know how everybody means their own thing by hip hop, what I mean by hip hop can be not just a fun thing for us to do or a way to relieve stress, but a great way to define ourselves in the place of the world, and just, not to be hippy dippy, but to make things better.
No, real. What I was gonna say, and you kind of answered some of this because we were talking about the ciphers and freestyling. I wanted to know, like, for the youth, I know that a lot of the stuff that they may hear on the mainstream level doesn't involve artists that really do the ciphering and freestyling. Is that something that they really connect with? Or is it something that's new for them because they don't see the artists that they, listen to doing it? Because I know when I was growing up, the artists that I listened to, you would see Mos Def in the cipher. Yasin Bey, you would see Talib in the cipher. You would even see somebody like Biggie, or you got footage of Jay-Z and DMX in the cipher.
Yeah,
do they connect to that?
So, it's so interesting how things have changed, but things haven't changed. The top mainstream stuff has always been kind of machinated, and a lot of times those folks, props to these cats, I don't ever want to diss the artists because I think we all do art in our own way. And these artists know that they make their bread and butter doing the things that the label asks them. I've often said, like I was saying my thing about like the hip hoppers versus the rappers, a cat like Jay-Z back in the day, his day job was being a platinum selling rapper, but it came from a perspective of a hip hopper. And, someone like Jay, who was mostly a freestyler, he would say that he didn't write his rhymes. A lot of the young folks today don't write their rhymes, and the songs that you hear are freestyled. I've seen, I think it was Migos. I was seeing this one video of them recording. They were doing like a back and forth, and they were recording like 2 bars for 2 bars, and they were both going off the head, feeding off of each other. So it does still exist, I think, more than the press would like to make it, because that's not a great story that's going to get them on the cover of magazines. That's just, how artists do their art. So 1, I do think that artists still do those kind of things. And 2, what I love about hip hop is that it doesn't matter if this stuff is famous. Schools are always like, oh, we know that you're doing this hip hop because it relates to the kids. Hip hop just turned 50 years old. It's not because it relates to the kids. This stuff is ancient. A lot of these come from the ways that African peoples would communicate, not just entertain, but communicate with each other and share vital information. All of this comes from the drum that was taken from enslaved Africans in the States that I think we are kind of building back, fighting for, and bringing other communities with us. So what's great about this stuff is it works whether or not it has relation to famous folks. You put on a drum, your neck starts bobbing. You start having feelings. You might have something to say. because it's always going to be fun to do that. When kids would, snap and play the dozens, my fellow early 2000s type of cat, I don't know if they still call it the dozens. That's some, but when people would do that, there was no financial benefit for it. When people would have the little, rap ciphers or rap battles in the schoolyards, it was because using rhythm is a way that we connect to each other. It's a way that we show ourselves. It's a way that we, to be honest, we show dominance. That's why there's a lot of battles and things like that, as we're like asserting ourselves and trying to find out who we are. And those are all really healthy ways to be able to take care of ourselves, to be able to find things, even to compete. Like I always like to say, you watch a breakdancer, b-boy, and all this, like they always controversy around all the names. But if you watch these cats get in a cypher or a battle, you've never seen one trip one another, right?
Yeah.
They'll take each other's hat, they'll dance around each other, do all of these moves because you wanted to be the best. If you trip them, then you ruined all of this stuff that we have. So even in competition, we're collaborative with each other. And those are just inherent things that people love to do. When you go to other countries, and I've taught in a lot of other countries. I remember when I went to Cambodia and I was rocking with Tiny Toons, really awesome. Shout out to Tiny Toons, awesome hip hop educators out there. They had graffiti because they couldn't afford nicer paint. All of the same conditions created the things that they were doing anyway. So it's like if you were to put all of those conditions in a petri dish anywhere in the world as a science experiment, you would still come up with basically some variation of hip hop. So regardless of whether or not there is like big commercial stuff saying that this is a way to make money, these are still ways that we relate to each other. And it also helps that there is a big burgeoning industry of making money, because that's the way I can make a through line between the way that we build habits together and the way we're able to make money and be able to step up the things that we want to do in life, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, again, that's awesome. I mean, what would you, I guess, for a student that's just coming to you, and I know that you have a lot of the curriculums on the website, what song would you use in hip hop to kind of make your point of, to give an example of what you're looking to do as far as like, putting the finances in the bars, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, most definitely. Oh, wow, that's because there are a lot of different angles of this and where these things go. One thing is, the first thing I would say is to like look up indie stuff, because there are indie artists who don't have the obligations of working with certain labels where they need to talk about certain things or talk about things in a certain way. And you'll often find really specific things. I do a podcast with my wife called Brunch and Budget, where we talk about personal finance and racial economic inclusion. I'm not trying to be too promoty about it, but one of the things that we do on the show is that we play indie rap songs that pertain to whatever subject matter we're talking about. One of my favorite things to find out, and I mostly dig through like Bandcamp and SoundCloud, I'm trying to find totally unknown heads or, smaller time cats who haven't gotten a lot of burn but have an interesting thing to say. When we did something about GameStop, the whole GameStop controversy where people were trying to, take it down and the Wall Street Bets kids were hoping it out. I found more than 30 rap songs about GameStop from young people. Some of them that were about what was going down. Some of them were just about, this is a cultural institution that means a lot to us. So I love, the old school heads called it digging in the crates, and we don't actually have crates anymore, but you can go online and search with keywords and search about the subject matters that you want to hear about, and you'll find indie folks. I say that as someone who already really loves this stuff. If you want, a classic rap song about this, one of my favorite ones is Cream by the Wu-Tang Clan. Cream is a really interesting song because the hook makes you think that it's celebrating money, like a lot of rap songs that are vaguely celebrating money. Cash rules everything around me. But when you listen to the verses, it kind of sounds like a bit of an anti-capitalist song, because there are these two brothers, it's like Ray and Deck, I think, that are on that. And they're both talking about difficulties in making money and the way, locked up in the back of a bus, 40 a bus, life as a shorty shouldn't be so rough. This is the reality.
Song, yeah.
Well, like also, well done raps in that, and it's got plenty of longevity to it, so it's a good solid classic. But I just love the nuance in those things that are talked about. That's a great one to do. I have also been making my own. This is like, as we say about like the work things and obligations. When I started doing this, I was like, oh yeah, we should have some examples. So I put together a couple of rap songs myself to show as an example to the things that we're doing. I actually, talking about Cream, I made a song that kind of riffed off that. We call it Dream, or Debt Rules Everything Around Me, where I took 5 white papers, research papers that were about race and debt. And I linked with this cat, Dietrich Asante Muhammad. He's over at NCRC, the National Community Reinvestment Coalition. He's this amazing, he has so many hats, but he does research, he does advocacy. He's the type of cat that people like Biden, when they're trying to get a reparations committee, they tap him. He's a scholar on race and wealth and does this amazing stuff. He also has a deep booming voice like Chuck D, so I got him to get on the chorus with me. I love bringing hip hop to people that think they aren't hip hop, but they know they got it in them. So we made ourselves a little song where I talked about what the basics of debt are and what the racist history of debt is. Just little simple stuff that I put together. And I have that as an example of hey, how do you do a thing that's just about money? There's also a dope MC, who's an underground MC, Triple X, who he put together a financial literacy based album. There are a number of folks who are talking about this more and more. So it's really not that hard to find some examples. And really, I want these things to come from you. Even if you don't listen to a single rap song about this kind of stuff, write down the things that mean something to you, put them in syncopation over a beat. I care how you rhyme, but I don't care how you rhyme. I want to hear all styles. And a lot of those styles come from, I don't even know, I'm just going to talk, and whatever the drum tells my body to do, I'm going to do it. That's fine too. If you imitate another artist, that's a great way to learn how to start. If you have a different flow that sounds completely different from how anybody sound, hey, everybody talks about this quote unquote mumble rap stuff, but there were people starting out who rhymed in a different way that people were like, okay, that's not what I was expecting. That's not the super lyrical bars on bars, everything interlocks and connects, but it made a connection. It made a relevant connection in people's bodies to the point where cats were ready to roll with them. And you ask somebody who loves those artists, you may call it mumble rap, but they know every word that the people are saying and what it means.
Because they know it comes from the heart, and it's come from their gut, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So do that part, and it'll be all right.
You know what? Project Pat's one of my favorite rappers, and he doesn't have like a traditional, style of rhyming. When I hear him, I'm like, where did he get this style from? Like, where does this come from? And it just comes from within, I guess.
Shout out, Southern rappers, because they, not to hate on like my coastal cats where I've spent a lot of time, but you can get easily into the styles that other people are around. And Southern rappers be sounding like themselves. You're like, where did you get that rhythm from? That's just inherently you. And I love that, one of our partners here for Good Texas, they're based in Texas and brought on a lot of really good folks. G-Dash, the co-CEO of Swisher Blast, the Swisher House, he is one of our judges as well. Oh, wow. And they're helping us, keep that Southern vibe up in there. I really appreciate all of that. I think we also have Derek McKinney from Houston, from Loud Music. He's also got the good Southern vibe. So yeah, big up to all of my Southern heads and the way that they do things differently. All of the artists who do things differently. I think, the media wants to box them, and not to be the media cat, but press outlets will box us into regional things because that's easier for them to package it. But there's so much variation in how cats rock.
Definitely. All right. Well, I guess let the people know what's next for you, what's next for Hip Hop FinFest, and or any other things that the people need to know. We're gonna definitely have the website under this video, and we're gonna post all the information on our community section and Facebook pages and Instagram, all that yada yada.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, we've got March 24th is the deadline for submission. So we got about a week and change. It should only take you an afternoon then to put together the song. It's not too hard to do. We'll be having a virtual concert at the end, I think the 27th of April. It's going to be on spondulix.com. Spondulix is an old Greek word for money. They're an edutainment streaming website where they have lots of great financial education type of artwork. You can check out the stuff that they've got going on. Big up to FFP and Spondulix who do that. We're also working with the Hip Hop Education Center, Here for Good Texas, and Morphing Minds. Those are all the partners. For more information, you can go to hiphopfinfest.com. Pockets Change is the organization that I work for. You can also go to pocketschange.com to check out what we're doing. Because I was doing it intermittently and weirdly, like randomly. I want to shout out all of our judges. We have Sway from Sway's Universe, Sway in the Morning, all of those type of stuff. G Dash, the CEO of Swisher House, Swisher Blast. We also an amazing producer and scholar, Jay Rawls. Queen Heroine, the MC, also an educator and a cultural ambassador with the Next Level program, and Derek McKinney, the founder and CEO of Loud Music. Those are all the people who will be checking out the work that you have. You send that in, we'll get those things judged, we get the concert going on. Even if you don't have a young person that you're working with, please come check out the fest. Look for ways that you can support and help build and grow this community so together we can change the way we talk about money.
I love it. It's awesome, man. So, are you guys gonna have like any footage or whatever that we could share after the, from the event itself? Or okay,
The event is going to be all virtual, so you're going to be able to check it out on Spondulix, and we will have all of the video available after that. We'll have to party again when we check it out. Next time I want to hear you talk about you rhyme. I want to get some bars out of you next time.
Okay, yeah.
What your money rhymes are.
Yeah, I'll put down some. I know some of our followers are waiting for me and my co-host Coop to put together this freestyle that we're working on. Actually, we're rhyming on respiration. I think is the thing. Yeah. Something like that.
Ooh.
But yeah, so I want to hear what the students have too. So after everything is submitted. And then, once you guys have the conference and everything, I'm looking forward to hearing, who the winner is and, what they come forth with. That's going to be dope.
Well, one more thing I'll shout out is I'm blanking on the exact date. I think that it's the 13th because it's about 2 weeks before the fest. Last year's winner, Cleo DJ, who produced and rapped and made the video for her own piece. It's called Money Means. It's a fantastic joint. We're going to be releasing that ahead of this year's contest.
Okay. Perfect. Multi-talented, all in one artist, right?
These young folks don't play around. That's the thing that I also really love about it is your family, your school gets to see the joy in the things that we create and connect it to the things that matter to them.
Definitely. All right. Well, that's pretty much it, man. I mean, we'll make sure we put all the information. You have any other things that we need to cover before we get up out of here?
No, this has been a good party. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, man. I look forward to it. You're doing great work. Continue the great work. And
hey,